You notice a room that is always clean, not when it matters, every single time you see it. That is not discipline. That is a different mental system you never learned to see. And once you understand it, clutter stops being about cleanliness. You are going to see how small, ignored objects slowly reshape how you think, decide, and trust yourself. You walk into your room after a long day. The light is low, slightly yellow from the hallway bulb. A chair holds a shirt you meant to fold 2 days ago. You pause for less than a second. Then you look away without thinking. But something inside does not fully move on with you. It stays slightly active in the background, like a tab left open in your mind. Part of you says, "It is not important right now." Another part quietly records that sentence again. "I'll do it later." You do not feel conflict on the surface, but your attention keeps returning in small, unplanned moments. This is not about cleaning yet. This is about what your brain keeps noticing, thought, when you stop noticing. And before we explain why that happens, you need to see what your mind is actually tracking in that room. We start with something simple, a pile you stopped seeing. Right now, there is probably one object in your home you no longer see, not because it disappeared, but because you've gone completely blind to it. Think about a pile of clothes sitting on a chair in the corner of your room. On day 1, it bothers you. Day 2, you walk right past it. By day 5, that pile suddenly becomes part of the room. You stopped seeing it. Every time you pass by, you just tell yourself, "I'll deal with it later." But the truth is, our brains are hardwired to delete repeating visuals just to save energy. When an object sits still long enough, your mind tags it as background noise. Except, just because your eyes stop seeing it, doesn't mean it's gone from your mind. Your brain still quietly registers it as unresolved. The things you ignore every day never fully disappear. They turn into a heavy mental drag. Do you know what happens when that friction builds up day after day? It quietly drains your energy without you ever realizing it. Your eyes adapted long before your mind did. And that matters more than most people realize. The problem is not the object itself. The problem is what that object represents. Dirty dishes remaining in the sink overnight, unread mail staying on the counter, or packages remaining unopened right near the door. You look at them and think, "It's not urgent." But your brain keeps the receipt. Each unresolved object becomes a small open loop in your mind. It's like leaving too many tabs open on your computer. Even when you are focused elsewhere, your attention gets divided and leaks into those invisible spaces. Clutter feels heavy because the brain treats it as unfinished business. It leads to reduced clarity, mental fatigue, and creates huge friction between your intention and action. Have you ever wondered why you feel completely drained even when you haven't done anything heavy? Clutter is often delayed decision-making made visible. But the room is not the real story. Notice how similar these moments feel. Different objects, same pattern. An unanswered text, an email marked for later, or a major decision postponed for another week. You tell yourself, "I'll deal with it when I have more energy." But the truth is, the laundry was never just laundry. Our brains are incredibly quick to learn from repetition. When you constantly back down from tiny tasks, that delay becomes familiar. It creates a subconscious loop in your mind. The same avoidance pattern that creates clutter in your room often appears elsewhere in your life. Day after day, that avoidance slowly becomes your identity. Are you actually managing your space, or are you running away from bigger problems? Do you see this same loop playing out in your relationships or your career? What repeats in your room often repeats in your life. And this is where things become uncomfortable. Nobody else notices these moments. Your brain does. You promise yourself to put things away tonight. Tomorrow, they are still there. A week later, nothing changed. You look at the room and ask yourself, why can't I just do simple things? The truth is, your brain tracks behavior way more than intention. Every ignored task becomes evidence your brain stores about you. Your self-image is built from that repeated evidence. As a result, trust in yourself weakens quietly. You lose credibility with your own mind, and that is the real weight. You are not living beside clutter. You are living beside accumulated evidence, and that evidence eventually becomes identity. Most people think identity creates behavior. Often, behavior creates identity first. You wipe the counter. You put the cup away. You make the bed before leaving. Maybe you've sighed and thought, maybe this is just who I am. I'm just not a neat person. But remember, identity is not what you say about yourself. Identity is what your repeated actions prove. The brain updates your self-concept through repetition. Small actions vote. Without evidence, your desired identity stays imaginary. Do you really want to keep holding on to an identity that you don't even believe in? Your habits are writing a biography. Your words cannot edit, which raises a different question. That explanation feels comforting. It is also incomplete. Someone washes a plate immediately after eating. You look at them and think, they must have more discipline than me. But the truth is, they don't do it because they feel inspired. They do it because it is what happens next. Consistency usually comes from automation, not motivation. When a behavior is repeated enough, it becomes an automatic reflex. Discipline starts habits. Automation keeps them alive. Without automation, every tiny task requires mental effort, and that is exactly what burns you out. The cleanest people often think about cleaning the least. There is another reason the habit feels so powerful. Sometimes, relief enters the room before you do. You enter a quiet room, clear surfaces, nothing demanding your attention. You tell yourself, I can finally relax. The truth is, order communicates safety to your nervous system. Reduced sensory input lowers your environmental stress. On the flip side, visual noise keeps your nervous system slightly activated. Your body notices first. Peace is often physical before it becomes emotional, which explains a strange behavior many people share. People rarely talk about this, yet most have experienced it. You feel restless and anxious. You start reorganizing a drawer, or you vacuum a room that was already perfectly fine. You just tell yourself, I just need to do something. The truth is, cleaning often functions as emotional regulation. Physical action gives your mental tension somewhere to go. Without action, that internal stress just circulates and eats you up inside. Suddenly, the room changed. So did your mood. Sometimes, you are not cleaning the house. You are calming your nervous system. And that leads to the real meaning of this habit. This was never about floors. It was never about dishes. You return home after a long, difficult day. Things are where they belong. No mess is waiting there to demand more of your energy. You look around and think, I took care of this. The truth is, a clean space is living evidence of an ongoing relationship with yourself. Order reduces mental friction and reinforces self-trust. On the other hand, neglected environments often reinforce a sense of helplessness. But right here, something deeper is happening. A clean room is not proof you are organized. It is proof you do not abandon what matters. So there is only one thing left to notice. Choose one place, nothing impressive, one shelf, one desk, one corner of a room. You might think, it's only a small area. The truth is, small spaces reveal larger patterns. Repeated attention creates evidence about who you are. On the other hand, neglected patterns compound over time. Just one corner, your relationship with that corner, will reveal more than your intentions ever will. Everything starts right there. A clean space is not the result of better habits. It is the byproduct of a brain that no longer negotiates with its own decisions. What looks like organization on the outside is often self-trust on the inside. You are not someone trying to become organized. You are either someone who keeps small agreements with yourself or someone who slowly gets used to breaking them. There is no third version of that pattern. The room does not change your life. It shows you what your mind has already accepted. Look at one small area in your space right now. Not the whole room, just one corner. Notice what has been left there without a decision. Write what that corner has been telling you without words. If this way of thinking feels uncomfortably familiar, there are more patterns like this we will continue to uncover. You will notice it again later. Not the mess, the moment you stopped seeing it.